something massive may be building around XRP right now, and most people still do not understand how big this setup could become. Analysts, crypto investors, and even some financial insiders are starting to talk about a possible explosive XRP rally that could shock the entire crypto market. Some predictions are now pointing toward numbers that once sounded impossible, including a potential move toward $315 per XRP. That would mean a gain of over 23,000% from current levels. But here is the important question nobody is asking properly. What exactly would need to happen for XRP to reach those levels, and why are so many people suddenly paying attention again? In this video, we are breaking down the biggest catalysts, the market signals, the institutional moves, and the hidden reasons why XRP believers think the next rally could be unlike anything we have ever seen before. XRP is once again becoming one of the most talked about assets in the crypto market, and this time the excitement is not only coming from retail investors. Large investors, financial analysts, and crypto communities are all watching closely because several major developments are starting to align at the same time. Over the past few years, XRP went through one of the toughest periods in crypto history because of the long legal battle involving Ripple and the SEC. During that time, many investors lost confidence, exchanges removed XRP trading, and the price struggled while other cryptocurrencies experienced strong rallies. But now the entire situation appears to be changing, and that is exactly why many people believe XRP could be entering the early stages of a major breakout cycle. One of the biggest reasons behind the growing excitement is the idea that XRP has survived everything that was designed to slow it down. Despite lawsuits, negative headlines, and market pressure, XRP remained one of the strongest and most recognized digital assets in the world. That survival alone has created a powerful narrative around XRP because investors often look for assets that can handle pressure and still remain relevant. In crypto markets, survival is extremely important because many projects disappear completely during hard times. XRP did not disappear. Instead, it continued building partnerships, expanding global payment discussions, and keeping its community active. Now, many investors are focusing on the possibility that XRP could finally benefit from years of delayed momentum. Some analysts believe the price has been heavily suppressed during the legal uncertainty period, and if confidence fully returns to the market, XRP could experience a very aggressive catch up rally. This is where the explosive rally prediction begins to enter the conversation. People are not simply looking at current price action. They are looking at what could happen if XRP suddenly receives large institutional attention while global crypto adoption continues increasing. The number that keeps shocking investors is the 315 prediction. Now, it is important to understand that this target is extremely ambitious and highly speculative. However, the reason people discuss it is because XRP supporters believe the asset was designed for large scale global financial utility. Some believe that if XRP becomes deeply connected to international payment systems, cross border settlements, liquidity services, and banking infrastructure, the demand could increase dramatically over time. Supporters argue that traditional financial systems move trillions of dollars globally, and even a small percentage of that market could create enormous pressure on XRP supply. Another reason why the excitement is growing is because the crypto market itself is changing. In previous years, crypto was mainly driven by hype and retail traders. But today, institutions, banks, asset managers, and financial companies are entering the space much more seriously. Bitcoin ETFs open the door for traditional investors to participate in crypto markets in a regulated environment. Now, many investors believe other digital assets could eventually benefit from similar institutional attention. XRP is often included in those conversations because of its long standing focus on payments and financial systems. Social media has also added fuel to the speculation. Every time Ripple announces a new partnership, legal progress, or expansion into another region, the XRP community becomes extremely active online. This creates momentum, excitement, and massive discussion around price possibilities. Some people dismiss these conversations as unrealistic hype, while others believe the market is still underestimating XRP's long term potential. The truth is that crypto markets often move based on a combination of utility, investor psychology, and market cycles. When all three begin aligning, prices can move much faster than most people expect. At the same time, experienced investors understand that massive predictions always come with major risks. The crypto market remains highly volatile, and price targets like $315 are not guaranteed outcomes. Markets can rise quickly, but they can also fall unexpectedly. That is why smart investors pay attention not only to excitement, but also to real developments happening behind the scenes. Right now, many believe XRP is entering one of the most important periods in its history, and if momentum continues building, the next phase could attract worldwide attention from both crypto traders and traditional finance. One of the biggest reasons why people are starting to take the idea of an XRP explosive rally more seriously is because the global financial system itself is changing very quickly. Around the world, banks and financial institutions are searching for faster, cheaper, and more efficient ways to move money across borders. Traditional banking systems are often slow, expensive, and outdated. International transfers can sometimes take several days to complete, especially when multiple banks are involved in the process. This is exactly where XRP supporters believe Ripple's technology could become extremely important in the future. Ripple has spent years positioning itself as a company focused on improving cross border payments. Instead of trying to replace banks completely, Ripple has attempted to work alongside financial institutions by offering technology solutions that can reduce settlement times and lower transaction costs. This approach is very different from many crypto projects that focus mainly on decentralization without building direct relationships with traditional finance. Ripple chose to enter the financial world directly. And that strategy is one of the main reasons why XRP continues attracting attention despite years of controversy. Many XRP believers think the real value of XRP has not yet been fully recognized because global adoption of blockchain based payment systems is still in the early stages. They argue that once banks and institutions become more comfortable using digital assets for settlements and liquidity management, XRP could become one of the biggest beneficiaries. The idea behind this theory is simple. If XRP is used as a bridge asset between currencies during international transactions, demand could rise significantly as transaction volume grows across the network. This is where the massive price predictions begin to appear again. Some analysts claim that if XRP becomes integrated into large financial systems handling billions or even trillions of dollars in transfers, the current market price could look extremely small in comparison. Supporters often point to the fact that the global payments industry moves enormous amounts of money every single day. They believe XRP was specifically designed to capture a portion of that activity by offering near instant settlements and lower costs compared to traditional systems. Another important factor driving excitement is the growing conversation around tokenization. Financial experts are increasingly discussing how real world assets such as stocks, bonds, real estate, and commodities may eventually move on to blockchain networks. Ripple has already shown interest in this area, and many investors believe XRP related technology could play a role in the future digital economy. If tokenized assets become mainstream, blockchain networks capable of handling large transaction volumes could become extremely valuable over time. At the same time, market psychology plays a huge role in crypto rallies. When investors begin believing that a major breakout is possible, momentum can build very fast. Fear of missing out often pushes more traders into the market, especially when prices start rising aggressively. XRP has one of the largest and most loyal communities in crypto, and that community becomes very active whenever positive news appears. Social media discussions, price predictions, and bullish analysis videos spread quickly across the internet, creating even more attention around XRP. Some investors also believe XRP has unfinished business from previous market cycles. During the last major crypto bull run, many people expected XRP to reach new all time highs, but the SEC lawsuit created uncertainty at the worst possible time. While other cryptocurrencies experienced massive rallies, XRP remained under pressure because exchanges limited trading and institutional participation slowed down. Now, some investors believe XRP could eventually experience a delayed breakout if the legal situation fully clears and market confidence continues returning. There is also growing speculation about broader crypto adoption by governments and institutions. Several countries are exploring digital currencies and blockchain based financial systems. While central bank digital currencies are different from XRP, the overall movement toward digital finance creates more awareness and acceptance of blockchain technology globally. XRP supporters believe this environment could help Ripple expand partnerships and increase adoption over time. However, experienced investors understand that speculation alone does not guarantee success. The crypto market is filled with bold predictions that never become reality. Reaching a number like $315 would require extraordinary market conditions, massive adoption, and a level of demand far beyond what exists today. That is why many serious investors focus less on exact price targets and more on whether Ripple continues expanding its influence in the financial sector. Still, the excitement surrounding XRP continues growing because many people believe the project is entering a completely different phase compared to previous years. Legal pressure is slowly fading, institutional interest in crypto is increasing, and the world is becoming more open to blockchain based financial systems. When investors combine all these developments together, they begin to imagine scenarios where XRP could experience one of the biggest rallies the crypto market has ever seen. Another major reason why XRP supporters are becoming extremely bullish is because many investors believe the market has not yet priced in the full impact of institutional adoption. For years, the crypto market was mostly controlled by retail traders, social media hype, and short term speculation. But now the environment is changing very fast. Large financial companies, hedge funds, payment firms, and even banks are entering the digital asset space with much more confidence than before. This shift is important because institutional money has the power to move markets on a completely different level compared to normal retail trading activity. When institutions enter a market, they usually look for assets with strong infrastructure, liquidity, global recognition, and practical use cases. XRP supporters believe Ripple has spent years preparing for exactly this moment. While many crypto projects focused only on attracting online communities, Ripple focused on building relationships with payment providers and financial institutions around the world. That long term strategy is now becoming one of the biggest talking points among bullish XRP investors. Some analysts believe the next crypto bull cycle may not look like previous cycles because institutions are becoming a much bigger part of the market. Instead of pure hype driving prices, investors may begin focusing more on utility and real world integration. This is one reason XRP continues appearing in discussions about future payment systems and cross border transactions. Many supporters believe that if institutional demand begins flowing into XRP at scale, the available supply on exchanges could shrink very quickly, creating strong upward pressure on price. This idea becomes even more interesting when investors look at XRP's total supply structure. A large percentage of XRP is not actively traded every day because many long term holders continue accumulating and refusing to sell. Some investors have held XRP for years despite market crashes and legal uncertainty because they believe the long term opportunity could be enormous. If demand suddenly increases while available supply becomes tighter, price volatility could become extremely aggressive during a major rally phase. At the same time, technical analysts are also watching XRP very closely. Many chart analysts believe XRP has spent years building a massive consolidation pattern. In simple terms, they believe the asset has remained trapped in a long accumulation phase before a potential breakout. In crypto markets, long periods of sideways movement are sometimes followed by explosive price expansions when momentum finally returns. This is why many traders use words like explosive rally when discussing XRP's current setup. Some analysts compare XRP's situation to previous crypto cycles, where assets remained quiet for long periods before suddenly making massive moves in a short amount of time. Crypto history has shown that once momentum enters the market, prices can rise much faster than traditional financial assets. Retail investors often rush into fast moving markets because they fear missing life changing opportunities. This emotional reaction can create powerful buying pressure during bull markets, especially when social media hype becomes intense. Another important factor is the possibility of broader exchange relistings and increased accessibility. During the SEC lawsuit period, several exchanges limited XRP trading, especially in the United States. That reduced liquidity and slowed down investor participation significantly. But as legal clarity improves, more platforms may continue supporting XRP trading more aggressively again. Increased accessibility can attract new investors who previously avoided XRP because of uncertainty surrounding the lawsuit. There is also growing attention around Ripple's expansion outside the United States. Ripple has continued developing partnerships globally, especially in regions that appear more open to crypto innovation. Many XRP supporters believe international growth could become one of the strongest long term catalysts for adoption. The global payments industry is enormous, and Ripple does not necessarily need every country or bank to adopt XRP for demand to rise substantially. Even limited adoption at scale could potentially create major effects on price over time. At the same time, experienced market participants continue warning investors about unrealistic expectations. While the idea of XRP reaching $315 creates excitement online, such predictions require extraordinary conditions. XRP's market capitalization would need to grow massively, and adoption would need to expand far beyond current levels. This is why many analysts say investors should stay grounded and focus on long term developments rather than emotional hype alone. Still, the reason these conversations continue growing is because XRP occupies a very unique position in the crypto industry. It has survived years of legal pressure, maintained one of the strongest communities in crypto, and continued building global partnerships during difficult market conditions. Few projects have managed to stay this relevant after facing so much resistance. That resilience has created a belief among supporters that XRP may eventually surprise the market when the right conditions finally align. Right now, many investors feel that crypto is entering a new chapter where regulation, institutional adoption, and real world utility may become more important than ever before. If that transition continues, XRP could potentially become one of the biggest stories of the next market cycle. And if momentum truly explodes, the rally many investors have been waiting for over the past several years could finally begin attracting worldwide attention. As excitement around XRP continues building, many investors are now focusing on one key question that could decide the future of the entire rally discussion. What happens if global financial institutions finally begin using blockchain technology on a much larger scale? This question is important because the long term bullish case for XRP has always been connected to adoption, utility, and large transaction volume rather than simple hype alone. XRP supporters believe that if the financial world moves toward faster digital settlements, Ripple could already be in a strong position because of the groundwork it has spent years building. One of the biggest arguments made by XRP believers is that speed and efficiency will become extremely valuable in the future financial system. Traditional international payment systems are still heavily dependent on processes that many people now consider outdated. Transfers between countries often involve multiple intermediaries, long settlement times, high fees, and operational delays. Ripple's technology was designed to solve these exact problems by offering near instant settlements and lower transaction costs. Supporters believe this practical utility gives XRP an advantage that many other cryptocurrencies do not have. Another major factor increasing excitement is the growing possibility of clearer crypto regulation around the world. For years, uncertainty has been one of the biggest barriers preventing institutions from fully entering the crypto market. Large financial companies do not want to risk operating in unclear legal environments. But as governments slowly create more defined rules for digital assets, institutional confidence could continue growing. XRP investors believe regulatory clarity may eventually remove one of the biggest obstacles that has held the asset back for years. The legal battle involving Ripple and the SEC became one of the most important events in crypto history because it raised larger questions about how digital assets should be classified and regulated. During the lawsuit period, many investors stayed away from XRP because they feared negative outcomes. But as the situation improved and Ripple achieved several important legal victories, confidence slowly started returning. Many supporters now believe XRP may actually emerge stronger because the legal fight forced the project to survive under extreme pressure while continuing to expand internationally. At the same time, the crypto market itself is becoming more mature. In earlier years, many projects gained attention without offering real utility or long term value. But today, investors are becoming more selective. They want projects connected to real world use cases, strong partnerships, and scalable infrastructure. The XRP supporters believe Ripple fits into this category because its focus has always been connected to payment systems and financial services rather than internet trends alone. This is one reason why some investors compare XRP to infrastructure instead of simply viewing it as a speculative token. They believe the asset could eventually serve as part of a much larger digital financial network operating behind the scenes of global transactions. If that vision ever becomes reality, supporters argue the current price may look extremely small compared to future valuations. This belief is what continues driving aggressive predictions like the 23,000% rally target being discussed online. Another powerful force behind the XRP movement is community strength. The XRP community is one of the most active and loyal groups in crypto. Even during the worst market conditions, many holders refused to sell because they believed the project still had long term potential. Social media platforms are filled with XRP discussions every day, and every new development quickly spreads through the community. This constant engagement keeps attention focused on XRP even during slower market periods. Some market watchers also believe that the next major crypto rally could create a domino effect across the industry. When Bitcoin begins rising strongly, investor confidence usually spreads into other major digital assets. Historically, altcoins often experience aggressive moves after Bitcoin establishes momentum. Because XRP remains one of the most recognized cryptocurrencies in the world, many traders believe it could attract huge attention during the next broad market expansion. However, serious investors continue reminding people that crypto markets are unpredictable. Emotional hype can sometimes create unrealistic expectations that do not match reality. A target like $315 would require enormous adoption, massive liquidity, and a market environment unlike anything crypto has experienced before. That does not mean it is impossible, but it does mean investors should remain cautious and avoid making decisions based purely on excitement or viral predictions online. What makes XRP different from many other assets is that the conversation is no longer only about price speculation. It is also about whether blockchain technology itself will become part of the future financial system. If Ripple succeeds in expanding adoption and increasing institutional usage over time, XRP could potentially benefit in ways many investors still underestimate today. Right now, the market appears to be entering a very interesting phase. Institutional participation is rising, governments are discussing regulation more seriously, blockchain adoption continues expanding globally, and XRP is once again attracting massive public attention. All these factors together are creating the belief that a powerful breakout could eventually happen. Whether the rally reaches the extreme numbers some people predict remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. XRP is once again becoming one of the biggest discussions in the entire crypto market, and millions of investors around the world are watching closely to see what happens next. As the discussion around XRP continues growing louder, many investors are now starting to believe that the market may be approaching a turning point that could change the future of the asset completely. For years, XRP remained trapped between massive expectations and major obstacles. Supporters believed the technology had enormous potential, but legal uncertainty and market pressure kept slowing momentum. Now, however, many people think those barriers are slowly disappearing, and that possibility is exactly why excitement around an explosive XRP rally continues spreading across the crypto world. One of the strongest reasons behind the growing optimism is the idea that XRP may finally be entering the right market environment at the right time. In previous years, the crypto market was still highly experimental and institutions were hesitant to participate. But today, the situation looks very different. Major companies are exploring blockchain technology, Governments are discussing digital assets more seriously, and traditional finance is slowly becoming more connected with the crypto industry. XRP supporters believe this shift could create conditions where Ripple's payment focused technology becomes much more valuable than before.